There's not too many engineers that I talk to today that don't want to use something besides rock riprap on their job sites. There's this mass exodus away from using rock on job sites. And a lot of that's, there's carbon footprint issues with rock. There's the expense of it. There's long-term maintenance of rock. There's transport issues with hauling rock into job sites. And a good example of this is, and I use this a lot in my presentations, is one truckload of ShearForce 10 is about 26,000 square feet. That's a semi-load of ShearForce 10. That is enough ShearForce 10 to cover what 300 dump truck loads of 24-inch rock would cover. 300 dump truck loads can be replaced by one truckload of ShearForce 10.
That's
commercial development or back into residential development. They're concerned about all these dump trucks rolling in and out of the site and slinging mud everywhere all over the streets, and potentially, safety issues with kids in the neighborhoods and that sort of thing, and all the noise. It's a no-brainer. I mean, you get a lot more material into that site and
quicker, quieter, less footprint.
Sure. Yeah, they get it in there. And the other side of that too is if they're working in a kind of a remote area where they have to, haul the materials back into a job site, sometimes it's almost impossible to get rock in there, the type of equipment it takes. So, they can easily take a couple rolls of ShearForce 10, stick it on the back of an ATV and, haul it into wherever they need to go.
We had a contractor this week talking about that, Tim, at the show. He'd much rather install the ShearForce with this much smaller equipment. He can use labor. He doesn't have to bring the big equipment onto sites to pick up the big rock type materials. And, like you said, carbon footprint, the wear and tear of roads, those secondary roads with all these big dump trucks. There's so many benefits to, that one truckload versus, like you said, hundreds of truckloads, and then the ease of installation, less impact with that.